Hello, my name is Emily, and in this video I'm going to show you how I redid our nightstands for $35. I'll show you the products that I used, I'll show you how I did it, and my hope is that it will make a project that you might want to redo easier, and also that maybe if you're someone who's like me, who feels overwhelmed and sometimes not fully motivated to do things like this, that you can find that motivation too. For supplies needed, I bought these drawer pulls on Amazon for a great deal. For paintbrushes, I got those at the Dollar Tree and they worked awesome. And then I bought liquid sandpaper, but only used about 1/3 of the bottle. Then you'll need some wood filler and paint, of course, which I used about 1 pint of paint. And then, of course, you're also going to need some clean rags, and I just used an old t-shirt, so that was free. And all of that added up to $35, which was a great deal. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, the most important thing is that you put something super cute on, like me. Just kidding. These are the nightstands, and as you can see, very dated knobs and just dated look. So the first step is going to be to remove all of the drawer knobs. If you're not going to be reusing them, which I'm not, that's part of the update for me, is taking them out. So those will be removed. As you can see, there's a glossy finish on it, which we will be taking off. But the next step before that is going to be to clean the surface thoroughly. Now you can use a wet soapy rag, which a lot of people do. I just ended up dusting it off because these were already really clean and there was nothing sticky on them. And so I would suggest just making sure they're very clean. Step number 3 is to remove the shiny finish. So I decided to use liquid sandpaper, so I just used an old t-shirt, and make sure you shake it really well before you get started. And I learned the hard way, but I think the best thing to do is to use a really generous amount, because I had to do it twice, and even then there was still a little bit of a finish on my nightstands, but I think if I had used a really generous amount, it would have removed the finish much quicker. I also suggest leaving the liquid sandpaper on overnight and then just wiping it off before you apply another coat. So yeah, like I said, I did 2 coats and that seemed to take a lot of the finish off. Step number 4 is to fill the holes with wood filler. So the wood filler I used, I just made sure it filled it right in, and I left kind of a little mound on top so that I could sand that off and make it really nice and seamless. All right, so now you can see that though this is after 2 coats of liquid sandpaper, there is still a little bit of shine to it. It has removed a lot of the finish, but it's not quite as I was hoping, and so I am going to use a white primer that I already had to just put a coat onto the nightstand. So that's step number 5, and what this is going to do is just make sure the paint will have something to stick to. And I will say that I also decided to go with a semi-gloss finish for the paint because I really wanted it to look kind of shiny when it was done and easy to wipe off. And so because of that, I really wanted it to have something, grippy to stick to. So I decided to do the primer. You don't necessarily have to do that if you're using the liquid sandpaper or if you want a more matte finish. I use the brush to just edge all of the small sides or anything with a groove in it, and then this roller really is what made the end product look very nice because there was no brush strokes on the top, and I also was able to even out any thicker parts of paint with the roller, and so that was really key to making it nice and even and smooth and nice looking. When I decided to paint the drawers, I started with the paintbrush, but realized quickly that the roller did just the right trick, so I ended up trashing that idea and just using the roller. Step number 6 is to paint the nightstands, which is the most exciting part. So I am using Black Beauty, Benjamin Moore's Black Beauty, and it's a really deep, I would say it's like a really, really, really dark blue with a black tint to it. And because I use semi-gloss, I ended up needing to do 2 coats of paint, and so as you can see the white come through a little bit, but it just, you'll see in a minute how nice it looks with the second coat of paint on it. Okay, so here's the second coat. This was like the most exciting part, because when I did the first coat, I was like, oh my goodness, this color is not looking good. But the second coat really just did the trick. It was such a rich, beautiful color in my opinion, and it really started making these nightstands come to life. And so getting that second coat on there kind of was like the light at the end of the tunnel for me, and I knew that these were going to turn out well. And again, that roller just really helped smooth out any thicker paint spots that the brush edging kind of brought up. And so I highly recommend using a mini roller, which is also really easy to use around corners and in smaller spaces. And giving those drawers a second coat as well with just the roller did the trick and covered up all of that white, all of those white spots. Luckily, I did this on a really hot day, so the paint dried really quickly. And I was able to do 2 coats in one day. Step number 7 is to drill holes and put your drawer pulls on. And I'm not going to say that this step was easy for me, but I measured and made sure it was centered, and then I drilled holes. And what I did was I put blue tape on it first and then drilled the hole through the blue tape, and then was able to just put that blue tape on each drawer and just drill through those holes. So it was kind of set the space for me. And then I enlisted the help of my husband. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found that helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to hit like and subscribe. Have a good day.